Latinos en Acción con Yesenia Taveras es su programa con informaciones locales en salud, leyes, negocios, educación y más. Latinos en Acción con Yesenia Taveras es el único programa para la comunidad latina en Delaware.
I'm Yesenia Taveras. Today on Latinos en Acción con Yesenia Taveras, I will be interviewing Delcy Morales, who is the 2010 Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year winner. She also won the title of the Northeast Regional Youth of the Year Award. We will also be interviewing her sister, Darlene Morales, and the marketing director of the Clarence Frame Boys and Girls Club, Kate Baker Frawley. First, we have with us Delcy Morales. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Latinos en Acción con Yesenia Taveras is a program based on interviewing government officials, local community leaders, artists, and basically people of interest to the Hispanic community. My show focuses on programs such as health, business, community events, and education. Now, due to your outstanding achievement in education, we wanted to go ahead and give you an interview and basically highlight all of the different hardships you had to go through in obtaining the different titles that you have currently with the Boys and Girls Club. My first question to you before we get into the bulk of our interview is if you can briefly give us a background of your ethnicity. Where did you come from? Where are your parents from? Just briefly tell us about your family background and yourself as well.
Well, we are from Puerto Rico. My parents were born and raised in Puerto Rico. They decided to move to Delaware right before I was born because they wanted a better life. You know, Puerto Rico, it was hard in Puerto Rico, and they needed to find a better job, so they migrated here. And this is where I was conceived.
My parents, actually, my mother's from Puerto Rico, my father's from Dominican Republic, and they were actually in the same boat as your parents were. They moved here to New York and at a very young age, looking for that American dream to get a job and accomplish what they can for the family. And one common thing that you'll find in our cultural background is that there are a lot of hardships, barriers that we faced. And with that being said, are there any hardships or barriers that you face being raised here in Wilmington?
The answer to that question is yes. I had to deal with a lot of hardships. A lot of people have to deal with a lot of hardships. I had to deal with, of course, my parents who weren't in the right mindset. You know, they came here to live a better life, but instead of making their life better, their life didn't get better, it got worse. I love them. I will always love them. But as far as them making my life easier, they didn't. You know, I had to deal with them using drugs. I had to watch a lot of abusing. I had to deal with the violence every weekend. I had to deal with me going from one family member's house to another because they couldn't, you know, take care of me. So, you know, I went through a lot of barriers that a lot of people go through, and I don't consider myself any different or any better than anybody else, but as far as my barriers and my obstacles that I had to face, I'm just glad I got to overcome them.
In our culture, there's a lot of things that we face. There's the domestic violence, the men usually typically abusing the women and things of that nature. However, you saw these things at an early age. At the age of 11, you left your mother's house to live with your father, and then at the age of 14, you left your father's house to move in with your sister. Can you tell us a little bit about the experience of this instability, moving from one household to the other, trying to just basically maintain and sustain yourself in the type of environment that you were living and being brought up in?
Well, thank God that through it all, I had the Boys and Girls Club. You know, I started attending here when I was 8. So at the same time, while I was moving from one household to another, I was coming here. And I had the voice of my sister telling me to keep going to school. I had the club helping me do my homework every day. They made sure that I was on, you know, I was so insecure at the time, you know, I didn't have no stable place. but I knew that I had a stable place here. So I can rely on coming here whether or not I was at my mom's or whether or not I was at my dad's or my sister's or my cousins or my brothers. I knew that I can come here.
Overcoming these hardships was a great challenge. However, you bypassed every distraction that could possibly be faced, and you graduated from Howard High School of Technology here in Wilmington. Now, statistics show that Hispanics usually don't graduate from high school. They either drop out from the 9th grade or 10th grade year, but you bypassed all that and you beat the odds and you went ahead and maintained straight A's throughout your high school career and you graduated. Can you tell us about your experience in maintaining your focus and actually beating the odds and graduating as a young Hispanic woman here in Wilmington, Delaware?
I always told myself I'm not gonna be this type way. I'm never gonna end up in a predicament where I can't pick myself back up or I can't do what I have to do for myself, let alone me not being able to do for someone else. So me going to school every day, it's like I had it like me getting my good grades, me going to school and receiving good grades, I felt good about. That made me, that built my self-esteem up when everything else wasn't as caught up as I wanted it to be. But as far as me bringing home straight A's and me showing it to the Boys and Girls Club and me showing it to my sister and them being proud of how I'm receiving my straight A's and that made me want to keep going. That made me want to keep going to school. I found, you know how someone usually needs to find that thing or that place that makes them feel good or that makes them feel wanted and that encouraged them to keep going? Well, coming here and showing my grades to my sister, that's what kept me going.
Looking forward, you've always had the goal of not only attending and graduating from high school, but also attending and completing college. Now that you've graduated from Howard High School and you are the 2010 Youth of the Year recipient for the Boys and Girls Club Award and the Northeast Regional recipient, what is your next goal as far as taking the $25,000 that you won in scholarships from winning these two different titles and attending college? Which university are you focusing on and what is going to be your concentration? What are you hoping to take up?
Well, I wanted to become a registered nurse, so I was gonna go to Deltech Community College here in Delaware, but then I started to think twice. Well, if I'm getting the scholarship money, shouldn't I be doing something more than just becoming a registered nurse? So I decided to look around because I honestly don't know which college I want to attend yet, but I'm looking at Towson University in Maryland. So there I might want to doctorate. I want to work with kids.
How are you going about receiving the national title of the Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year Award? And what do you plan to do with the $65,000 in scholarships you will receive should you win?
All I'm doing is staying focused. Of course, I have to deliver a bunch of speeches everywhere, you know. I have to talk. To me, I don't stress too much about it because everything that I do for state, that I did for state and that I did for regionals came from my heart. I can't change that. I can't work too hard at that and I can't work too less at that. It's just, it comes from my heart and people can see, you know, people can see whether you're being honest about something or whether you're just doing it just to do it.
What advice or words of encouragement would you give that individual who is watching you right now and is trying to overcome a hardship or obstacle in their life?
I would tell that Hispanic person, I would tell them never to give up. That there's a whole bunch of opportunities out there. There's a whole bunch of people willing to help. You just have to reach out and you have to ask for it. You should never be scared to ask. That was one of my downfalls. I was scared to open up. I was scared to say, I need help. I'm stuck. You should never feel that way. You should never feel like there's nobody out there because there's always someone out there for you. And you should never give up no matter what, because despite what you're going through, I think everything gets worse before it gets better.
Well, Delcy, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Latinos in Accion con Yesenia Taveras. It's been an honor, and I wish you best of luck in everything that you do, and I will be here praying for you, hoping that you win the national title of the 2010 Youth of the Year Award. And if you didn't, don't worry, you're still that role model in our eyes here in Delaware. So congratulations and best of luck. Stay tuned, for we will return after these short messages.